Madam Speaker, I move to consider Committee Report number 102 submitted by the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. For this purpose, direct the Secretary General to read the title of the committee report.
There is a motion to consider Committee Report number 102 submitted by the Committee on Ethics and Privileges. Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary is directed to read the title of the committee report.
Committee Report number 102, submitted by the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, regarding Committee Case number PS-2026-12, entitled In the Matter of the Order of the House through the referral of the privileged speech of Representative Rolando M. Valeriano and the interpellations thereon in the House plenary session on 27 January 2026, relative to Rep. Francisco A. Barzaga's conduct during the period of his 60-day suspension, on the adopted findings and recommendations as contained in Committee Report number 28, dated 1 December 2025, on Committee Case number SC-2025-3.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the Chairperson of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, Representative J.C.M. Abalos.
The Honorable Abalos is recognized.
Madam Speaker, the Committee on Ethics and Privileges Secretariat received on January 28, 2026, a referral from the House plenary of the privileged speech of Representative Rolando M. Valeriano delivered on 27 January 2026, and the interpellations thereon relative to Representative Francisco A. Barzaga's conduct during the period of his 60 days suspension, on the adopted findings and recommendations as contained in Committee Report number 28, dated 1 December 2025, on Committee Case number 3, entitled Representative Puno et al. Versus Representative Barzaga of the 4th District of Cavite. The referral of the transcript of the privileged speech consists of 10 pages, including the transmittal from the Deputy Secretary General, Legislative Operations Department. The matter was docketed as Committee Case number 12. The privileged speech alleged that Representative Barzaga flagrantly violated Section 141 or Rule 20 of the Rules of House of Representatives when he continuously defied the stern warning issued by the House upon the imposition of the penalty of suspension upon him on December 1, 2026, when he, during the period of suspension, continued posting in his social media accounts the following malicious content as follows. NUP congressmen received bribes from Enrique Razon in various gatherings in Soler prior to 2025 election in exchange for supporting Speaker Martin Romualdez. Congressman Romeo Acop's death will not stop him from facing justice. He must be investigated for involvement in the flood control corruptions. Corruption and plunder against the Filipino people is a sin against the Lord. Congressman Romeo Acop is now suffering through external damnation. He has left the comfort of his luxurious mansion in exchange for a pit of external hellfire. That is the fate of all corrupt politicians. During the interpellation of Representative Tanuatco, Rep. Valeriano stressed that Representative Barzaga was sternly warned that a repetition of similar misconduct would merit more severe sanctions from the House of Representatives. He therefore urged the Committee on Ethics and Privileges to investigate the continuous violations of Rep. Barzaga of the House rules and to impose further suspension from office against Rep. Barzaga. Representative De Lima, on the other hand, clarified whether Representative Valeriano would like the Committee on Ethics to hear and try new allegations or continue from the previous case. In response, Rep. Valeriano left the matter to the discretion of the committee for appropriate action. Thereafter, the House of Representatives in plenary ordered the committee to, number 1, conduct a hearing in its next scheduled meeting and conduct a thorough assessment on the conduct of Rep. Barzaga during the period of suspension of the adopted findings and recommendations as contained in Committee Report 28. 2, require the respondent Barzaga to appear in the hearing of the committee. And 3, immediately report to the House of its findings and recommendations after such hearing. Pursuant to the order of the House and the referral of the privileged speech, a meeting was then called by the chairperson, setting a hearing on the matter on February 3, 2026 at 1 p.m. with notice to the respondent and the complainants. Representative Barzaga was furnished with a copy of the referral of the transcript of the privileged speech and its interpellations with a directive to personally appear before the committee to present evidence to the contrary, with warning that failure to appear thereon will be considered a waiver of the right to a hearing to present evidence and conduct cross-examination, if any. During the conduct of the hearing on the matter, the committee noted that the 60-day suspension of Representative Barzaga expired on January 30, 2026. While serving his suspension, however, the committee took note that that Rep. Barzaga committed similar acts for which he was sanctioned. The committee members were in agreement to consider the acts of Rep. Barzaga during the period of 60-day suspension to be a continuing violation subject of a prior disciplinary action which the committee have decided upon its Committee Report 28 dated December 1, 2025. Specifically, the committee were in agreement that jurisdiction to conduct hearing anew on the subsequent similar acts were reacquired by the committee upon the order of the House of Representatives expressly directing the committee to conduct a hearing to assess the conduct of Rep. Barzaga during the period of his suspension pertaining to Committee Report 28. Hence, the committee decided to consider the referred privileged speech not as a separate and independent matter, but a continuation of prior misconduct as ordered by the House of Representatives. Thereafter, during the deliberations, Rep. Valeriano sponsored his privileged speech invoking that Respondent Barzaga committed serious violations during his 60-day suspension and presented his case before the committee. Respondent Barzaga, however, was not in attendance and was considered by the committee to be in default. After exhaustive deliberation on the matter, upon a unanimous vote of all the members present, there being a quorum, the committee has concluded that a violation of law, rule, or regulation of the House relating to the conduct of a House member within the jurisdiction of the committee has occurred. The committee found that there is substantial evidence that the violation has been proved, warranting imposition of one of the disciplinary actions listed in paragraph B, section 52, pursuant to section 41(7) of the committee rules. The sole issue, Madam Speaker, to be resolved is whether or not Respondent Barzaga flagrantly violated Section 141 of the Rules of House of Representatives when he posted several social media contents during the period of his suspension from office on December 1, 2025 to January 30, 2026, which ultimately constitutes disorderly behavior that reflect upon the House of Representatives. The complainant alleged that respondent repeated the misconduct for which he was previously sanctioned and in fact escalated and intensified the unruly behavior to include vilification of a deceased colleague and defamatory imputations against colleagues and a private citizen through his official social media platform that mocked the name and honor of the House of Representatives. The complainant stressed that the defiant acts of Representative Barzaga, while suspended from office, clearly demonstrated that suspension from office as a disciplinary measure has failed and that Rep. Barzaga's post-suspension conduct reflects his unfitness for legislative duties. All these, the complainant argues, warrant the imposition of further suspension and, if appropriate, the penalty of expulsion from office. We find basis in the arguments of the complainant. Respondent Barzaga has been sanctioned for previous misconduct, for disorderly behavior when he posted incendiary social media content and retained and failed to remove publicly viewable, inappropriate, and indecent photos in violation of Section 141A, Rule 20 of the House Rules and Section 4C of Republic Act 6713. The committee has issued Committee Report number 28 detailing its findings and recommendation as to these misconducts, which was adopted in its entirety by the House of Representatives on December 1, 2025. The committee's recommendation included a stern warning to Rep. Barzaga that a repetition of similar misconduct will result to a more severe disciplinary action. We agree with the complainant that the stern warning was made clearly and unequivocally and served as an express caution against repetition of similar misconduct. The period of suspension was made 60 days to afford Rep. Barzaga the time to pause and reflect upon his actions with a view to instill the institutional standards of decorum, propriety, and professionalism fitting for a legislative representative. At the very least, the committee expects Rep. Barzaga to have exercised restraint and prudence while suspended from office. Instead, the contrary happened. It appears, Madam Speaker, that reform is not forthcoming for Rep. Barzaga, who has again demonstrated utter contempt for institutional standards. The malicious commentaries made against his colleagues are indeed conduct incompatible with the dignity expected of a legislator, even using his social media account with his official title, Congressman. We find it scornful and disparage the name of the dead, especially a colleague who cannot defend his name and honor before a large audience as Representative Barzaga now has. Respondent violated Republic Act 6713 complainant alleges that respondent demonstrated continued objectification of women for which he had been previously disciplined, and thus further violated norms of behavior for public officials by acting contrary to good morals, public order, and public interest. Section 4 of Republic Act 6713 mandates every public official to observe professionalism, justness, and sincerity. The committee finds the respondent to have breached the standards of propriety, professionalism, and decency for which he was sanctioned prior to this matter. He had demonstrated incorrigibility in his conduct in tarnishing the dignity of his position and the House of Representatives. The committee afforded Representative Barzaga the opportunity to present his defense and to present evidence to the contrary. He was duly notified of the hearing and were furnished with copies of the allegations against him. He, however, chose to completely ignore the directive of the committee. The committee has in fact took note of Representative Barzaga's social media post circulating online, which proves that he is aware of the subsequent allegations against him and that he is being expected to attend the hearing of the committee. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, Representative Barzaga declared that he will not be attending the ethics hearing and had the audacity to post, "I will be ignoring the summons of the ethics committee. Expel me if they want, but the Philippine Congress has done nothing but destroy the lives of the Filipino people." Madam Speaker, the committee condemns Rep. Barzaga's brazen disrespect for its authority. All members of the House of Representatives have the sworn duty to respect the Committee on Ethics rules of procedure and the authority of the House of Representatives to conduct its disciplinary process. Choosing to entirely ignore the disciplinary proceedings in the Committee on Ethics in a manner that undermines the work of the committee ultimately undermines the House of Representatives as an institution. The committee shall not in any way tolerate conduct that brings the committee and the entire House into disgrace and contempt. After a thorough deliberation on the case, the committee finds that Respondent Barzaga of the 4th District of Cavite committed repeated escalating misconduct during the period of his suspension from office during December 1, 2025 to January 30, 2026, which reflected negatively upon the dignity, integrity, and reputation of the House of Representatives as an institution and of the members of the House, and recommends the imposition of another penalty of suspension from office for 60 days without the benefit of salaries and allowances. The imposition of the penalty carries with it a stern warning that a repetition of another misconduct would warrant a more severe disciplinary action, including expulsion from office. Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to adopt the finding and recommendations contained in Committee Report number 102 and pursuant to our rules, direct the Secretary General to read the title of the measures and thereafter call the roll of members for nominal voting.
There is a motion to adopt the findings and recommendations contained in the committee report number 102. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is hereby directed to call the roll of members for nominal voting.
Roll call of members on the adoption of the findings and recommendations contained in Committee Report number 102 regarding Committee Case number PS-2026-12. Abalos, Abante, Asidre, Acosta, Adyong, Advincula, Agaraw, Agyao, Alano, Alba, Albano, Almario Chino Miguel, Almario Dennis, Almonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Amante, Amatong, Ang, Angara, Angeles, Aquino, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison Munir, Arbison Munir Jr., Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Ataide, Aumentado, Ayon, Bagao, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Bangkoro, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Baskug, Bautista Claude, Bautista Johan Monich, Bautista Lim, Beltran, Benitez Alfredo, Benitez Javier Miguel, Bernos Ching, Bernos JB, Biron, Bocobo, Bolilia, Bondok, Briones, Bulot Begtang, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Hawagdan, Cari, Castro, Caiton, Celeste, Sendanya, Ceniza, Jan Franz Norbert Joselito Almario, Chan Junard, Chua, Chua Tai, Chungalao, Ko Pilar, Juanco Jaime Eduardo Mark, Juanco Mark, Colliantes, Corvera, Cruz Agatha, Cruz Ricardo, Cruzado, Kua, Dagook, Dalog, Dayanghirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Lima, De Venecia, Defensor, De Gamo, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Di Macuja, Di Maguila, Di Maporo Imelda, Di Maporo City Amina, Diokno, Dionisio, Domingo, Dumogan, Duterte Harold James, Duterte Omar Vincent, Duterte Paulo, D. Faustino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Elago, Emano, Enverga, Erice, Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Jeffrey, Flores, Cortez, Frasco, Fresnedi, Puentebella, Galang, Galeos, Garbin, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Karen Hope, Garcia Maria Angela, Guardiola, Garin, Gatchalian,
Yes, and may be allowed to explain my vote later.
Yes, you may.
Gato, Glepa, Go, Gomez, Gonzalez Alexandria, Gonzalez Eliza Micaela, Gonzalez Christopher Sheen, Gonzalez Roy, Goriseta, Guico, Gintu, Gulyas, Gutierrez, Hernandez Cherise Ann, Hernandez Dennis, Hernandez Ferdinand, Hernandez Ramil, Hofer Hasim, Horibata, Ismula, Iway, Javier, Co Antonio, Co Eliza, Co Wilton, Konghun, Ko, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lagbas, Lagdameo Jose Manuel, Lagdameo Monique Yasmin Maria, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sunny, Lara, Lazatin, Ledesma, Legacion, Legarda, Legazpi, Leviste, Libanan, Lopez, Gloria, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Macapagal Arroyo, Makasait, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangudadatu, Manikiz, Marañon, Marcoleta, Marcos,
Madam Speaker, Sagip Party List votes no, and I wish to explain my vote after the nominal voting.
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Marquez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Mercado Revilla, Miraflores, Momo, Montes, Nava, Nazal, Nisay, Nolasco, Oamenal Henry,
Madam Speaker, Bagong Henerasyon Party List votes no, and we would like the opportunity to explain our vote later.
Yes, you may.
Oamenal Sancho Fernando, Oducado, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Oreta, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Padiernos, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Perez, Pimentel, Plaza, Leito, Poe, Primicias Agabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Recto, Rehencia, Remulla, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Jolo, Redon, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Eulogio, Rodriguez Maximo, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romualdez Andrew Julian, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sally, Salvacion, Salvador, Salvame, San Fernando, Santos,
Madam Speaker, Kamanggagawa Party List votes no, and we reserve the right to explain our vote later.
Yes, you may.
Santos, Maria Alana Samantha, Santos, Mark Anthony, Shimura, Singson Rochelle, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Suwan, Swansing Bella Vanessa, Swansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Suntay, Talyado, Tan Aman, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Micah, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Shai, Tan Watko, Tariela, Teodoro, Tereng, Teves, Tiangco, Tieng, Tino, Tolentino, Tuan, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor, T, Umali, Ungab, Uy De Carlo, Uy Roberto, Valeriano, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Veloso, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villafuerte Vincenzo Renato Luigi, Villanueva, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Arthur, Yap Christopherson, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, Yap John G. Snell, Yatko, Inares, U. Jazel Victoria, U. Joseph Kim, Yulo, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri, Second call on the adoption of the findings and recommendations contained in Committee Report Number 102. Alvarez Mercedes. Amatong. Ang. Angara. Aumentado. Ayon. Banyas Nograles. Barzaga. Bautista Claude. Bautista Lim. Benitez Alfredo. Bondoc. Sendanya.
Madam Speaker, I vote no with the option to explain my vote. Thank you.
Yes, you may.
Shan Junard. Chungalao. Cojuangco Jaime Eduardo Mark. Kua. Dayang Hirang. De Los Santos Alfred. D. Ian Paul. Ferrer Jeffrey. Frasco. Puentebella. Go. Gulias. Hernandez Dennis. Ismula. Iway. Ho Antonio. Ko Wilton. Lagdameo Monique Yasmin Maria. Lagon Sunny. Leviste. Makasait. Nolasco. Oreta. Panotes. Rama. Rehencia. Remulia. Revilla Ramon Jolo. Salceda. Sally. Salvacion. Singson Ronald. Suntay. Talyado. Tan Amen. Tan Keith Micah. Tiangco. Tolentino. Tulfo Jocelyn. Tutor. T. Vargas. Villanueva. Violago. Yap Christopherson. Yap Edvic. U. Jazel Victoria.
with 238 members voting in affirmative, 10 against, 9 abstentions, the findings and recommendations contained in the committee report number 102 are hereby adopted. The Honorable Barzaga, who is present at this session hall, is hereby notified that is suspended for a period of 60 days, effective immediately. Session suspended.